Good evening and welcome to the Southfield Public Schools Power Hour, Wednesday Back to School edition with Superintendent Dr. Jennifer Martin Green, as well as the educational infrastructure. So once again, my name is Daryl Beebe. I'm the Director of Student Support Network. We're going to turn it over to Dr. Green. Tonight, we're going to ask you if you have questions, that you would place those questions and concerns within the question and answer section, and we will respond to those questions as best we can. And so with no further ado, once again, we're grateful for all of our partners, our students, educators, our board members, the entire community and stakeholders. And at this point, we're going to turn it over to the hands of Dr. Jennifer Martin Green.
Thank you, Mr. Beebe, and welcome everyone to our first official Power Hour for the 2021-2022 academic school year. Joining me this evening, you have various members of our executive team, our unaffiliated staff, and our illustrious building level leaders. I wanted to introduce you to every one of our building level leaders tonight and put a face with the name. Unfortunately, on my screen, you are not able to see their faces right now, but please know that they are all on the screen and are looking forward to meeting you either tomorrow at our back to school fair or at some events that they are having at their building. So team level leaders, I do apologize that we are not able to publicly introduce you to our community on this evening. Without further ado, let's move forward with the presentation and address our mitigating measures for the 22 school year. Next slide. Who will speak this evening? We have Ms. Felicia Venable from Operations. Emotional supports, we have Ms. Paula Lights and Mr. Daryl Beebe. Transitioning back to the brick and mortar, we have Pamela English. Curriculum and assessment, we decided to hold the curriculum and assessment portion to the next power hour to afford you, our community, our parents, our stakeholders, more opportunities to ask questions this evening. So we will come back to the curriculum and assessment. However, we will not do that on this evening. Intense Student Support Network, Dr. Freeman. English language learners, we have Ms. Sally Nalu. Next slide. Many times we are asked, how do we make decisions? Every decision that we make in Southfield Public Schools is scientifically based and data driven. We receive information from the local Southfield Fire Department relative to how many runs they make regarding COVID cases. We also look to the city of Southfield for emergency orders. Now, let me clarify that. The emergency orders can only be issued at the local, county, or state level. The city of Southfield does not direct the school district. The school district is under the guise of the Board of Education, led by none other than our board president, Mr. Charles Hicks, who happens to be on the call. I also know that we have several other trustees on the call. Some need to be moved up from attendees to panelists. So Summer, if you can handle that in the background. Thank you. Also at the county level, we have the Oakland County Health Department and Oakland Intermediate School District. At the state level, we have the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Department of Education. At the federal level, we have the Center for Disease Control, the U.S. Department of Education. Internationally, we look to the World Health Organization. Then at the state level, again, we have the Michigan High School Athletic Association. And we are all under the laws that govern our state, coming from the federal level, the state level, and of course, our board policy. Then we look to you, our community. What are your needs and what do you tell us via our surveys? Now, I know this looks like a lot of people telling us what to do. However, none of these individuals really tell us what to do. Our school board has local control over the decisions that are being made for our community. These individuals that you see listed on the screen are only here to provide guidance and support. Next slide. Most recently, we began receiving updates from the Oakland County Health Department relative to individuals having been impacted by COVID by age group. As you can see, this report was sent to us on August 11th, and all age groups were trending in the wrong direction, which is the upward direction. There was an increase of 571 cases during this time period. Next slide. Community, I know that I'm going relatively fast, but I want to be able to get to the question and answer section, so please bear with us. In the news, there has been discussion at the legislative level regarding Michigan schools. in that we must teach in person, get a waiver, or lose funding. This is not all about money. However, we do need funding to operate our schools and provide our children with the best programs, the best staff, and the best opportunities. That said, Michigan is not issuing very many waivers for school districts, virtually making it impossible for us to do so. Also, we have some individuals at the legislative level of the state requesting that bills go forward requiring no mask mandates and saying that it would be illegal for schools to implement mask mandates. So these are just some of the things in the news. They have not passed as of today at 6:12 p.m. However, this is a very fluid situation and may change at any given moment. Next slide. Future considerations. We have a lot of things in the works. You did receive a letter or should have received a letter from the school district earlier today based on our school board's decision, unanimous decision in August of 2020, which is board policy 8450.01. It outlines the requirements and when we will trigger additional steps relative to mask mandates. As such, we have implemented or activated that policy requiring a universal mask mandate for all within our facilities, that being students, staff, vendors, and visitors. Moving forward, we will offer an elementary transportation incentive. We recognize that many of our students ride the bus to and from school. We also recognize that while they are on the bus, it is in close quarters and we can only keep the windows open on the buses during the time in which the weather permits. That said, we will send out a Google survey this evening or first thing tomorrow, asking elementary parents who might be interested in transporting their own student to and from school. If they are willing to volunteer, we will provide them with a $25 gas gift card per month throughout the entire school year. What this does for us is affords us an opportunity to have less students on the elementary buses and provide for more social distancing while they are on our school buses. Again, that is only offered for the elementary students, given that those under the age of 12 do not have the option or choice to receive a vaccine as of today. Anyone 12 and older does have the choice of receiving a vaccine. Therefore, we are not able to afford this opportunity or incentive to those families. We are also looking to partner with Grapefruit Testing. They are a company, an international company led by a group of medical doctors who will work with the district to provide antigen testing for our staff, for our students if needed, and they are most interested in having a community conversation with you to address the needs of our parents and our community at large. We have not implemented that to date. We are in discussion and we are looking forward to having an opportunity to bring them before you in a relatively short amount of time. Athletic precautions. We do not have guidance from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Therefore, we are conferring with our legal counsel as well as our healthcare officials to determine what would be in the best interest of our students, given that we can put all of the necessary precautions in place to keep our students safe while they're with us. However, once they get on the field or on the court with an opposing team from an opposing district, if that district is not as intentional in keeping their students safe, they could potentially infect our students, our athletes, who could bring it back to our classrooms, who could bring it back to your house and to our community at large. So we are working diligently with those at the county and state level to ensure that we have some universal precautions for our student athletes. In the very near future, we will have to make decisions regarding social events. Will we have a homecoming? Will we have harvest festivals? Will we continue with our drive-through protocols, etc.? As of now, we will have the back to school fair on tomorrow, as that will be an outdoor event. We are requesting social distancing and mask mandates at that event. We will have ample supplies of hand sanitizer as well as cloth masks or paper masks for those who do not have one in their possession. Configuration of elective courses. Many of our elective courses require our students to sing or to play instruments. And as you know, that is one of the staples of our district, our fine and performing arts programs. Therefore, we are considering things such as the purchase of large tents to afford our students an opportunity to go outdoors during those classes. We may consider some alternative configurations relative to the times or the sizes of those classes. We have not come up with a definitive as it pertains to that. We will loop in our fine and performing arts teachers to help us in brainstorming that process. However, all of these decisions that I'm referencing will be made prior to our students' arrival, which is that of Monday, August 30th, 2021. Lifting requirements. I know not all of our community is happy with the restrictions. However, they are imperative to keeping our students, staff, and community at large safe. We will monitor closely all conditions at the local, county, and federal level, state and federal level, and we will lift the restrictions just as soon as it is safe for us to do so. And then we are preparing for the unknown. Right now in the news, we continuously hear about the Delta variant. Behind the Delta variant is that of the Lambda variant, and we don't know what other variant is coming beyond the Lambda variant. Therefore, we have prepared for our students to have all technology necessary in the event that we have to go remote at a future date. Next, you will hear from Ms. Venable, who will share with you the items that we have in place relative to keeping our students safe from facilities management and custodial services. Ms. Venable?
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Green. Good evening. Next slide, please. So tonight we want to share with you our district's mitigating measures from a facilities and custodial and overall operations standpoint. The district will, as Dr. Green indicated, highly follow the CDC guidelines with respect to masks. And in our case, our district will require masks to be worn by students and staff. In the classrooms, teachers and students can expect to have portable protective shields and barriers, as was the case during the spring semester. We'll encourage social distancing where and when feasible. And the district will provide masks for anyone needing a mask on the day of their arrival in our classrooms. Next slide, please. With respect to cleaning and disinfecting, our custodial and maintenance staff, again, as another adult, a staff member within the district, will be required to wear masks during the time that they're performing their work duties. Custodians will disinfect frequently touched surfaces throughout the day. Examples of that would be handrails, countertops, and lavatories, group lavatories throughout the day. The district in the spring adopted a hospital-grade US EPA approved disinfectant that we'll use in our manual cleaning as well as in our electrostatic sprayers. We'll disinfect areas in which a positive case may have been reported, meaning if there were to be a positive case reported, our department will receive an email or a phone call to indicate that, not necessarily a person's name, but where that person might have been in the building, and we'll do an immediate disinfection of that area. In our corridors and throughout the classrooms, we have hand sanitizing stations. In addition to that, we'll continuously butler the lavatories to ensure that soap and hand towels are available, and we'll encourage hand washing throughout the day. Next slide, please. You might have seen these photographs in the spring. The conditions still exist with respect to every other hand sink in our lavatories and every other stall to encourage social distancing. We have signage throughout our building and on the entrances of our schools that encourage that persons that might feel ill not enter the building. Also, it will require on the signage that face masks be worn. And our drinking fountains are covered. The bubblers on the drinking fountains are protected, and we'll encourage our students and staff to use the bottle fillers. Next slide, please. On the left, there's just an example of a custodian using the electrostatic sprayer that has a charge to spray the disinfectant. And you might have remembered in the spring, the district made a significant investment, a necessary investment in air purifiers that can be found throughout our schools and in our classrooms and common areas. Next slide. With respect to student transportation, Our bus drivers and aides, again, will be expected to wear a facial covering or mask. This will be limited, however, when transporting children and in the event that the driver's glasses may become fogged while they wear their mask. In that instance, they will not have it on. We'll have a limited supply of masks available for students who may arrive to the bus stop without one. And then we'll also have assigned seating on the bus to as a stopgap for contact tracing in the event that that's necessary, but there will be assigned seating on the buses. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Venable. This is an excellent time as we transition to the instructional infrastructure for me to congratulate all of the families who trusted in us to send their children to our summer camps and to lift the fact that we know that our mitigation measures work in a partnership with our families when we all follow the protocols. This summer, we hosted over 800 children back on our campus for 8 weeks in various summer camps. Led by Ms. Tanya Hickman, one of our principals. She took the lead over our summer camps. Our instructional infrastructure team put together a variety of camps. But what I'm most proud of is that following our mitigation measures, we had zero, Z-E-R-O, COVID cases in our school district as a result of the practices that we put in place. So kudos to all who engaged in our summer program. We are most proud of the work that you have done with our children. Next, you will hear from the instructional infrastructure.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Good evening to you all. This is Pamela English, and I just want to share a few things with you, and then my team will also follow as we think about transitioning back into our buildings in person. Some of our focus in our buildings with our students is that we're going to be focusing on establishing routines in school and at home. The first few weeks, several weeks of school, our buildings will really be focused on that social-emotional learning, building relationships, community building within our schools. We realize that our students have been away for a considerable amount of time, and it's going to take a minute for us to really transition, to help them transition smoothly back into the learning environment. So we want to make sure that our parents are aware of our focus here. We're going to encourage a safe socialization to build social connections with families, friends, groups, such as the teams, our clubs, our sports teams, even your churches and communities where you live. Also encouraging students to maintain physical and mental wellness with mindfulness exercises. So one of our district goals is around social emotional learning and mindfulness, and really teaching students and staff, the adults as well, all of our stakeholders, the importance of being mindful, of finding your center, of finding your peace, being able to calm yourself down, center yourself, be present in the moment. So those are some of the things that we're going to be doing throughout the entire year. Teaching children to remain positive, not to fixate on negative things, by learning from the past to make positive changes in the future, and also helping children to develop a sense of purpose by setting goals and taking time to help others and themselves. Next slide, please. Thank you. One of our focuses this year is around MTSS. MTSS stands for Multi-Tiered System of Support. We're putting systems in place intentionally that help us to focus our children academically as well as non-academically. A lot of parents have, questions around, how will we address those learning gaps and, whatever is happening. So our focus is really on accelerating learning for our students. We realize that there may be, in some cases, where students are behind. And so this is not new to us, as we are used to dealing with, students who may be behind and providing differentiated learning opportunities for our students. And so we want to make sure that we put intentional systems in place, K-12 for all of our students, related to how we address all that for all of our students. So this system, the Multi-Tiered System of Support, which we refer to as MTSS, does that. Significant training will be provided throughout the entire year to our staff and our administration, students, to get them ready. And so MTSS is a framework designed so all students receive appropriate instruction and interventions. This is not a system solely for special education. MTSS is for every child in our district. we want to make sure that we meet every need of every child. And so whatever those needs are, whether they are interventions, whether students are behind, whether students are at grade level, whether students need enrichment, we want to make sure that we identify those things and are able to meet those needs. Also, MTSS focuses on academic and social emotional skills that students need at their grade level. It is for all students, including students who need an enrichment. It's data informed and evidence based, and our decision making is collaborative based team decision making, and all staff will be going through intensive training throughout the year. We've already started that process this year with our leadership retreat with our administrative staff, and we look forward to continuing in partnership with Oakland Intermediate School District to assist us in providing this training and making sure that we address the needs of all of our students who are returning to Southfield Public Schools. Next slide, please. And now I will turn it over to our Student Support Network, Daryl Beebe. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mrs. English. And as Mrs. English spoke about, you heard multiple times talking about mindfulness and social emotional supports. And so the Student Support Network has a number of different initiatives and some opportunities that we have put in place. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the work that we've done at the end of the year as well as into the summer. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Paula Lightsey, and then I'll come back to close out our slide.
Good evening, all, and thank you. Thank you, Ms. English, for that wonderful segue into all the work we are doing with social emotional support. And over the course of the year, we've adopted many strategies and presented many opportunities to address some of the traumatic experiences that our students and our staff has experienced. And to continue that, we have adopted this program called Inner Explorer, which will address mindfulness. It will address the 5 competencies of social emotional learning, which includes self-awareness. And one of those pieces about mindfulness, I want to invite you just to pause and take a deep breath. Everyone, just take a deep breath through your nose and just pause and then let it out through your mouth. Just blow it out. And do it one more time, because we're covering so much information and it is so important. Just pause and just breathe in and out one more time. And so this is a system or a habit that we're going to begin to practice throughout our district, in the classroom, in the hallway, during our professional meetings, throughout, so that we learn to stay present and aware. And there are 5 competencies, and self-awareness is one, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and decision-making skills. And all of these go hand in hand with our district-wide goal to increase student social, emotional, and academic supports. So the program Inner Explorer is not only for students, but it's for adults and families, because it's not just enough for us to help students become better. It's something that we have to do for ourselves. We are the role models. And we've partnered with many, a couple of nonprofits, Michigan Collaboration for Mindful Education, and we hosted last year several trainings on mindfulness. We did mindfulness with teens. We offered opportunities for staff, families, and students to pop in just to breathe, just to feel safe. So we're going to continue all of those practices. And the one piece we're going to do intentionally is to make sure we're not only focused on our students and our staff, but on our students, our staff, our families, our bus drivers, our noon aides, everyone in the district. If you're connected to Southfield, we're going to make intentional effort to focus on all. I could go on, but time is an issue, and so I'd like to pass it on to Mr. Beebe.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lightsey. And so as Paula talked about, Mrs. Lightsey talked about the process of becoming mindful and taking time to address those social and emotional supports. And so with that, we have our partners, which is CNS Healthcare, Easter Seals, Ascension, Southfield Youth Assistance, and Sandcastles. And so we have taken a deeper dive into those relationships, and those partners are prepared to service our community, once again, to service our teachers, to service staff. And so once again, those relationships are in place, and they're prepared to support. As many of you know, Ascension has developed a health center for us right in Southfield High School A&T. The construction is going on. It's fabulous. And we're excited that October, November, we will open up the health center for our entire community. And also, as Mrs. Lightsey spoke about, we have a district-wide SEL team, once again, establishing our commitment to social and emotional learning. And so we're excited about the direction that we're taking. We've also worked closely with our counselors, our social workers, our school psychologists, and SEL specialists throughout the buildings to invest in the same level of social emotional support, mindfulness, and other resources that we have. Myself, Mr. Marshall, who is also student support coordinator, will continue to provide restorative practice initiatives and opportunities for our young men as well as our young ladies. So from this Student Support Network, we're really excited about our next steps. And that's all we have for tonight. And we'll pass it back into the hands of our own Dr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Beebe. And again, continuing on our district's intentional goal this year is to provide that social emotional support for all our teachers, our students, as well as our community and our families. We've created support kits for every social worker in the district. The kits consist of mindfulness cards that will provide simple practices for everyday life, including affirmations, simple ways to connect and to relieve any anxiety that students or our staff or our parents may be having. Next slide. And our Parent Advisory Committee, they also have agreed to start every meeting with some type of social emotional connector with our parents. They're going to be hosting bi-monthly virtual meetings. You should look for this flyer that will be displayed in all of our offices, and you can just scan the UR code in order to get the link so that you'll have the link for the entire school year. We're also working on hosting virtual building level meet and greet so that parents can meet our team members, and we are looking for PAC representatives from every building because we're trying to develop a series of parent workshops geared around parent engagement. Next slide. And as we meet the needs of our students, we're also trying to be responsive and provide resources for not only our staff, but to our parents. So we have purchased just some materials that parents can have at their fingertips as they help their children with special needs, transition, or even just understanding the disability and what tools and strategies are most effective. We're going to have some of these at our table tomorrow at the back to school fair. So I hope that you will take time out and visit so that you can get your hands on some of these wonderful resources. Next slide. Our intense student support network, during the actual COVID closure, we were able to expand our continuum of services by providing an early intervention family center. And so that is housed at our Southfield Educational Center. And we've taken it a step further. So now we have a speech and language center, and we also have a testing center so that those students that need to come in for a more intimate setting and get testing, they're able to do that. Next slide. And on this slide, you see we have developed this walk-in speech center. It is a result of us meeting the needs of not only our staff, but the community. Our speech and language pathologists around the district, we actually service a number of students that are not yet registered with Southfield, but they live in the community. Therefore, they are entitled to our services. And so our speech therapists around the district have been providing support for these students. And so now we have a centralized location for families to come and get their services. So we're very excited about the Speech Center. Next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. And before we bring Sally Nalu on to talk about our English language learners, I think it's important to mention that not only do we have a plethora of resources for that of our Intense Student Support Network, we have a plethora of resources for all students within the district. You heard Mr. Beebe and Mrs. English, or Mrs. English, as well as Mrs. Lightsey reference some of those materials. We will be opening a parent resource center in the district, and we will also make sure that all of those resources for all of our students are readily available via our website, as well as in all of our buildings. So I didn't want any one group to think that they were being neglected, as we are intent on supporting every one of our children. That being said, Ms. Nalu.
Good evening, everyone. Our department will continue with the process of contacting potential English learners to set up a time and day to assess, screen to determine if English language services are needed. Assessments will be administered at the Southfield Educational Center on Mount Vernon by appointment only until the start of school. Then testing will resume at the building level. We will continue to abide by CDC guidelines for in-person testing, continue with our monthly parent meetings. As of now, they'll be virtual, but our parent room is still available at SEC for parents to come in and to use resources like for the computer, to get books and other resources. And we will also have books to share with our parents, bilingual books in English, Spanish, English, and French at the back to school fair. We will also continue to support our parents with all online district platforms, continue to translate documents in our 3 main languages, which are, again, Spanish, French, and Arabic. And last but not least, small group and/or one-on-one ELA and math instruction will occur. Hours of service depend on student leader levels. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sally, and thank you, team, for presenting this afternoon. We are right on time, so you did an amazing job in going through those slides at a relatively rapid rate. One thing that I will address before I go into the Q&A questions from our community is that of why Southfield Public Schools did not elect to have a virtual option for this school year. Again, every decision that we make is scientifically driven and data-based. That being said, our first survey that was administered to our families this summer relative to whether families wanted to return to the brick and mortar in-person instruction or that of virtual indicated that less than 10% of our respondents were interested in a virtual or remote platform. Our most recent data, that being the re-enrollment platform that is currently available via MyStar and your parent portal, indicates that only 2% of our population is interested in that of a virtual platform. That is the reason behind us partnering with Oakland County and their virtual learning consortium to ensure that we were able to provide you with the platform that you requested while doing it in a manner that was fiscally responsible. Had our data indicated otherwise, we would have considered other options. That was not a consideration based on the data that was reported to us by you. Mr. Beebe and Miss Summer Caldwell Carruthers, I do believe that you are fielding the questions.
Yes, we are. And I'll go ahead and start, and then we'll take turns. The first question I see is, will the children be required to bring their Chromebooks to school each day, the ones they used in 2020?
Miss Summer, I think that is your question.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. For grades K-5, they do not have to bring their Chromebooks to school every day. They can leave those Chromebooks at home and utilize those for work that their teacher assigned from classrooms. But for grades 6 through 12, they do have to bring their Chromebooks every day to school. If for whatever reason they have a issue with their Chromebook or they leave it by mistake, we do have a few in the building that they can utilize, but we are asking all grades for 6 through 12 to bring their Chromebooks every day to school.
To expound
you.
on Summer's response, the reason that the younger students would not need to bring their Chromebooks to school, we recognize that they have a task just to get all of their supplies and get themselves on the bus and get to school. So we have Chromebooks for them in every elementary classroom throughout our school district. We did, throughout the pandemic, purchase new technology for our students to utilize while they are in our buildings. Therefore, the ones that they had last year can stay at home and they will still have access to technology while they're with us. We didn't want you to think that given that their technology was staying home, they would not be utilizing it. Mr. B?
To add one more thing, Dr. Green, all kindergarten students and new students will be getting a Chromebook. I do want to add that to the answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. What will distancing look like in the classroom? Are you still practicing 6 feet?
The guidance that we have been provided is up to 6 feet where feasible. And at this time, not all of our classrooms allow us the opportunity to provide for 6 feet of distance. Therefore, where feasible throughout our buildings, we will provide distance anywhere between 3 to 6 feet. However, many, if not most of our classrooms in our buildings that were designed 50 plus years ago will not afford us that opportunity. That said, we are looking at some alternative classrooms. Earlier today, we discussed having classrooms facilitated outdoors in our courtyards, under tents, in our cafeterias where we have more space to afford that social distancing. As you heard Ms. Venable mention, we will have the shields that go on the elementary desk to provide for some separation in the event that we are unable to provide for that amount of social distancing. We do also encourage the social distancing in the halls as well as the common areas throughout the building.
Next question. Will incoming 9th graders have an opportunity to tour Southfield A&T before school starts?
I will defer that to the high school administration. I know that many of our building level leaders have been creative in coming up with virtual tours for our students. Therefore, we will note this parent's contact information and we will send a response relative to the incoming freshman class. And we will send it to all of the incoming freshmen so that our entire community has the same information relative to that response.
Okay. How will the class size change to provide social distancing?
I believe that we already addressed the social distancing piece. We are obligated under the contractual bargaining agreement of our teaching staff to adhere to certain class sizes. We do look to try to keep numbers as low as possible. However, we do have to adhere to the guidance that we are within our contractual obligations.
Next question. If we choose to not return in person, will our children lose their seat at their school if they don't return in person?
This question is twofold. One, if you choose to remain virtual by way of VLAC, which is the virtual consortium that we have entered into with Oakland schools, you will not lose your seat. However, you do become a student of VLAC for that 1 year. It's important for me to mention here that the program is for an entire school year. If for some reason there becomes a cure and COVID no longer exists in January, you are still a student of VLAC through June. Different than that of what we offered last year, the VLAC program does require all students to be up and online by a certain time in the morning with camera on, with the virtual teacher, and remain online until the end of the day. There is time set aside for lunch, and I do believe they have breaks built in. However, you may be thinking that it was comparable to what we offered last year, which was an abbreviated schedule to accommodate the rapid changes in our community. So I did want to lift that. If you enter into the VLAC program, you do have an option to come back and reclaim your seat in Southfield Public Schools after your 1 year. That said, if you leave and go to another school district for whatever reason, you then become a student of that school district. And coming back to our district, if you are a resident, you will be welcomed back with open arms. If you are not a resident and you are in our district based on school of choice, you would have to reapply for school of choice if it is open at that time. If our Board of Education decides to not open school of choice at that time, you will not be afforded an opportunity to reclaim your seat.
Thank you. Next question, will parents and guardians and staff be required to complete the wellness report via Frontline prior to sending a student to school or reporting to work? If so, will the district provide training for the youth for using the app to report health issues or health status?
Mr. B, I believe this question is in regard to Frontline.
Yes.
To the daily affirmations, yes, we will provide videos, self-paced videos for our families and staff in reporting their daily health conditions, and it being Frontline, which is the software system that the district purchased, will provide confirmation of whether or not a student or staff member is cleared to enter our school on a daily basis.
Next question, in the wake of different variants and being that K-5 cannot get vaccinated, what will the class sizes be?
Again, we have addressed that we have to keep them lower than the contractual bargaining agreement, and we will keep them as low as possible. However, we cannot commit to anything other than what we are contractually bound to by our CBA. It's also important to note that we're looking to cohort our students. Cohorting meaning that the students will stay with the same group of students throughout the entire day and not cross mingle with other classrooms. This is another method to keep down any spread of whatever variant is facing us at that time. As I mentioned early on, we have the Delta variant, we have the Lambda variant following shortly behind the Delta variant, and we don't know what variant is coming in the future. This is changing. It's a very fluid situation. We will do everything within our control to keep our children, staff, and families safe.
Thank you. Are individual desks, computers, study areas inside classrooms disinfected, or only general common areas disinfected?
Ms. Venable, would you please take that question?
Absolutely. So not just the common areas will be disinfected. Those areas throughout the day will be disinfected, and then at night there will be a deeper cleaning and disinfecting of surfaces. With respect to the electronics, our Office of Information Technology purchased specialty wipes for those devices that schools have at their disposal for use. But the expectation mom and dads can have is that the building will be cleaned thoroughly and disinfected at night. And then throughout the day, as time permits, right, due to the abbreviated time, the custodial staff will be responsible for disinfecting those frequently touched surfaces that I covered in the presentation, as well as those large lavatories. Those will be disinfected at specified times throughout the day.
Thank you. Two questions that are similar. They basically ask, how will lunch be handled? How will lunchroom activities be handled?
Lunchroom activities will be handled in accordance with the CDC guidelines, which recommend that we try to social distance the students while they're in line to receive their lunches. And then once they go to their seat to eat their lunches, that the mask be taken off only during times when the student is ingesting food and or beverage, and then the mask be returned to the student's face, covering the nose, mouth, and chin immediately following that of their lunch period.
So I have I have two questions that are similar. Will students have an opportunity to take a break from the mask, maybe go outdoors? And will kindergartens have to wear the mask when they're taking a nap?
Do we have kindergartners taking naps in the district?
Mhm.
I don't know that we do. That's why I'm asking the question.
No,
I do believe
I don't
our
think
kindergarten is
so.
a full day, and the principals are texting me as we speak. They are not, our kindergartners do not take naps. That is at the Bussey Center, which is our early childhood center. The kindergartners go all day, and all classes will be afforded an opportunity at some point to go outdoors. Perhaps you heard me mention early on, we are looking at revamping our courtyards as well as purchasing tents to afford all teachers an opportunity to take the students outside throughout the day to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to take off their mask at some point. However, we don't know what that schedule is. We are heavily relying on our building level leaders, as they are the ones who create the schedules within their respective schools. You will hear from them at some point when your students will be outdoors to ensure that they have an opportunity to take off their mask and enjoy the fresh air.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Next question. How will the school handle a child coming to school obviously sick?
Excellent question. Some may recall, but for those that are new to our district, we have developed a protocol for individuals that are displaying symptoms of any type of cold. We are not medical doctors, therefore we do not guesstimate what the condition is. We will quickly take that child and put them in one of our wellness rooms. The parent will be contacted and asked to come back and pick up that child. If one of our leaders or one of our teachers see the child get out of your vehicle and they are displaying symptoms of an ailment, they will ask you at that point to take your child back home. Our intent is to not have anyone in our building that displays symptoms of a cold. They will also ask you to come back once you can provide proof that your child is not positive. Also, you heard me mention the antigen test that we are looking into by way of grapefruit testing led by medical doctors. If and when we secure that partnership, we will have individuals on site that can come to the school to provide the antigen test for your student to ensure that your student is not positive within 15 minutes. So that is one of our future considerations, and we are looking forward to securing that really soon. We are also going to have 2 registered nurses throughout our district to assist us in this endeavor.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Green. Question. How will parents be notified in the event there is a positive case identified within the school or the classroom?
If you are a close contact, or what is considered to be a close contact by definition of the health department, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, or the CDC, you will be contacted directly in regard to your potential status. If you are a parent of a class, if you are a parent in a classroom where a student has tested positive, you may be notified that someone in the building has tested positive, and you will be notified of what mitigation measures or remedies we put in place relative to that situation. Due to HIPAA laws, we are not allowed to inform you of the individual having tested positive. Also, a classroom will not be shut down, nor will a building be shut down unless the quarantine rate exceeds a certain percentage of that entire building. Short of that, on our website, we do have a dashboard whereby we will report the numbers to our community of those having tested positive in our respective schools.
Dr. Green, we have parents asking for community pass information to be sent out again, that they didn't receive it.
Absolutely. It is our pleasure. And I did have a few parents email me regarding Community Pass. We will have that information reissued to you. Community Pass is a method by which we are eliminating the exchange of physical cash. This system will be in place for you to make contributions to your child's lunch account. In the future, it will afford you opportunities to pay for field trips, of which unfortunately we can't take right now due to the pandemic, but in the future you will be able to. For our senior parents, it will allow you to pay for senior dues. It will allow you to pay for just about any expense that you would incur within our school district without having to come to the school district and or give your young one cash to transport to and from. It does come with a small fee similar to the use of a credit card. However, our district is committed to this process and making it most convenient for you. Therefore, the district is assuming that service charge and our families will not incur that service charge throughout the process.
We also have a lot of parents asking if they're a new parent or a new student, how would they receive their Chromebook? You would just let your homeroom teachers know when you return to school that you do not have a Chromebook, you're a new student. Or if you are a current student and you did not receive a Chromebook and you now need one, you will let your teacher know and we will get that set up for you.
And I know that the
Thank you.
power hour that we normally stop at 7, but this is very important. So I ask that if our executive team would be willing to stay and our building level leaders will be willing to stay for a few more moments to answer a few more questions, I think that would be very much appreciated by our community. Next
Thank you.
question.
Yep. Is there an expectation that the school will offer after-school activities such as academic games, robotics, student council, etc.?
That is one of those items that I mentioned during the future consideration slide, and we will make a decision regarding those activities before the students return on August 30th. We do know that we will not have any outside groups in our building. That's something very important to lift as well. Unfortunately, we know that it's inconvenient for some parents. We had a very open door policy for our parents in the past, but this is one of the ways that we can keep our internal controls safe. Therefore, we will not have external visitors in our buildings throughout the beginning of the school year. That may change. It may change by mid-September. However, right now, we will not have any external social organizations in our district. Any volunteers that are in our district by way of academic support or social emotional supports that come from outside organizations will adhere to the district level guidance, that being the universal masking. And if we move forward with the antigen testing, they would have to do that as well, but they will most definitely have to attest to their health conditions every day.
The next question is, and I believe we may have covered it, but it's a lot of questions. Will school be 5 days a week, or is it divided in half like last school year?
We are back in session 5 days per week on our regular schedule. That information came out in our first newsletter. However, if any parent did not receive that, I will ask Ms. Dana Harvey, our new Director of Communications, to ensure that that newsletter is posted on our webpage, where we will hold all newsletters that come from the Office of the Superintendent and Board of Education.
Also, there are questions about orientation for 9th and 10th graders at Southfield A&T.
That will be addressed. It was lifted earlier, and I'm glad that person asked about 10th grade as well. I was reminded during the question session that we have 10th graders, our sophomores, who never stepped foot on our campus. Therefore, we are committed to ensuring our freshmen and sophomores have an opportunity to be oriented to our facilities and to the staff, and more importantly, the supports that are available to them.
Next question, the antigen testing, will there be a cost to the parents?
Excellent question once again. By law, the company is required to collect your medical insurance information if available, and they will bill your insurance company for that. If you have a copay, you will not be required to pay that copay. The organization that we're partnering with, they have federal CARES dollars, which will cover all of the copays. And for those families who do not have the medical insurance necessary, the CARES dollars will cover their antigen testing as well. So the short answer is this is coming to us at no cost. They are receiving the dollars from the federal government. However, by law, they are required to collect your medical insurance and bill them if you have medical insurance.
Next question, will teachers continuously make sure that the masks are on the children's face properly, being that they slide down when they're talking, etc., such as when their nose is exposed, etc.?
And I will ask Principal Hickman if she's on the call to jump in, because she did provide oversight for the summer programs. I do know that our children were very cooperative every time I was in the building. If I saw a child with their mask falling down, a simple reminder worked and the child
So
quickly
Dr.
adjusted
Green,
their mask. Yes,
Dr. Green, if you don't
yes,
mind
sir.
if I chime in on this one,
Oh, absolutely.
you know,
Hicks.
sure. As a parent in the district, I would say that I would hope that we would send communication out to all parents, reminding them that we're all in this together, and as a result, we're stronger together and helping enforce, making sure our students, our staff are kept safe. So absolutely, we're going to do whatever we need to do to make sure that once our children are in the building that they're kept safe. But we need that constant reminder from the parents to make sure that, as they're dropping their child off, remember, keep your mask on, make sure that you are following the guidelines given to you, because, we only can be as effective if we're all collaboratively working to make the environment safe. So we will definitely do whatever's possible to keep, 'cause, everyone forgets at times, and the goal is not to be, have disciplinary action, but we want to make sure that we do follow the guidelines to keep everyone safe.
Thank you, Board President. I'm glad you lifted that latter portion of your response. This is not to become a disciplinary item for our staff and or our building leaders. A reminder should suffice. However, if we have someone that is egregious in not wearing their mask, that will be addressed differently, and you will be contacted for a parent conference, and possibly the child may possibly be put in an alternative educational setting to ensure that we keep all others around the classroom and our staff safe. Mr. B?
Another question is, do students need to wear uniforms this school year?
We are less focused on uniforms and more focused on safety. However, we do have an elevated dress code, or we have some dress code parameters. Those remain in place, and we ask that all parents adhere to those elevated dress code requirements. However, our primary focus, once again, is ensuring that our children are safe and that we are accelerating learning due to the pandemic.
Thank you. Next question. Hi, will the children need to bring their own water bottles as they did in summer school?
Ms. Venable?
The question is in regard to water bottles?
Correct.
Will they need to bring their
Yes.
own water bottles? Will students need to bring their own water bottles?
Yes, they will. We would encourage students to bring their own water bottles from home.
I do know that throughout the spring months, we kept those water bottles in the classroom, particularly at the elementary level, which afforded students an opportunity to fill them at our filling stations throughout the day. I am going to stretch and say that we will continue that practice once all of our children are back this fall.
All right, give me 2 seconds. The screen is moving as questions are coming in.
Another question is,
Thank
who's in charge in disinfecting the buses?
The
Ms.
buses will
Venable?
be disinfected at the end of the day, and our transportation partner, First Student, has made that commitment to have that task performed, and they have staff that are charged with disinfecting the buses at the end of the day.
And I will say this regarding First Student, perhaps over the last 3 years, our families have noticed that our bus service has improved drastically relative to the first day of school, routing, having buses waiting to pick up students that missed the bus, etc. No one is perfect, and I'm not making that claim right now. However, I will say First Student is committed to Southfield and to Southfield Public Schools families. We will double check to ensure that those mitigation measures and the cleaning are actually occurring, and we will receive reports to that effect.
Thank you. Next question. I think you answered this somewhat, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. If numbers continue to increase for COVID infections, will virtual instruction be an option?
That remains to be seen. However, if numbers become dangerous, will indeed have an alternative solution to providing instruction. We will continue to monitor this very closely, again, at the local, county, state, and federal level, and work with our healthcare professionals to make these data-driven decisions. BB, please take the last question, and then we know that there are some other questions in the chat. We want all parents to know that we will take the script from today's meeting, and we will group the questions based on topics, and we will provide a response to every single question or every single topic that has been lifted this evening if your particular question has not been addressed at this point. Also, I am committed to having on the screen with Dr. Green once per month. We will send out that information whereby parents will be able to join me on in a virtual platform and ask whatever questions they have. Again, once per month, I will have an hour set aside. That will be separate and apart from our power hours. Our power hours have specific topics. This will be simply a Q&A for me to meet with you to address any questions and or concerns that you have. Let's take the last question, B.
All right. Can you clarify the parameters around the adjutant testing? Will parents be notified prior to the child receiving the test? Also, I may have missed this, but will children need to be tested daily?
So the first part of the question is yes, we will notify all families relative to the antigen testing once it is formalized within our district. As previously mentioned, grapefruit testing wants, and they are very eager to have a community meeting with all of our principals, then with all of our parents, then with our entire community at large, because they are committed to a safe community, not just that of our school district. So there will be many opportunities for parents to fully meet and greet and understand the dynamics of the program, as well as complete the paperwork necessary to agree to afford your child an opportunity for the antigen testing. And then what's most impressive with this program, if indeed your child does test positive, the actual medical staff will contact you directly. It will not be our building level leaders. It will not be our central office staff. You will have an opportunity to speak directly with medical personnel who can properly guide you on next steps. There will also be multiple individuals exclusively assigned to Southfield Public Schools to answer any questions relative to the antigen testing and or COVID-19 that are from this organization. So it affords us an opportunity to give you firsthand information from true medical professionals, and us not having to delay a response by way of having to contact the health department or having to contact one of our medical partners. You can get it firsthand from those medical professionals. So the answer to that is yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. B or President Hicks, President first, do you have any closing comments for us?
Well, yeah, I do. I definitely want to thank the administration, the staff. You all continually raise the bar. Many of the questions that have been posed and that we pose to you, you have a good plan of action that you've already thought out. So we appreciate you and how you adjust to these last minute changes. And I definitely want to thank the parents because I'm looking forward to August 30th to see all your children back in the building. And just a reminder, you have to go to work because I know you all will probably be partying in the parking lot, just like I will be, because I have a even stronger appreciation for instruction and the teachers because this last year was hard. It was just hard dealing with trying to walk in your shoes. So again, we appreciate you all and look forward to this upcoming school year.
Thank you, President Hicks. Mr. Beebe, would you like to do a commercial relative to our back to school fair?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that. So just once again, I just want to thank everybody, the large number of attendees that we had on tonight. But I also want to remind you that on tomorrow from 3 to 7 p.m., right out on the Southfield High School A&T football field, we are going to have an amazing back to school fair. So we want to welcome all of the parents, students, prospective students that are considering Southfield Public Schools as well. And we want you all to come out and enjoy yourselves as we close out the summer. So thank you for that, Dr. Green.
And BB, if I can add,
Yes, sir.
this is also a time tomorrow from 3 to 7 that if you are interested or know someone that is interested on enrolling in Southfield Public Schools, where they can come gather information, they can enroll on the spot, to our school district, and any information, like I said, that they may need or want will also be provided tomorrow to enroll.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. It's also important to know that we will have social distancing. We will have hand sanitizer. We will have masks, as I indicated earlier. Supply lists will be needed, will be posted on our website. I know that some parents are inquiring about our supply list, so we will have that posted as well. There will be other opportunities for you to meet and greet your building level leaders in the event that you're not able to come out tomorrow. You will receive that information directly from our building level leaders. However, I'd like to take this time to just personally thank all of our building level leaders, our unaffiliated staff, and our Board of Education for trusting us with the recommendations that we have made throughout this entire 18 months. And unfortunately, we'll have to continue making throughout this academic school year as things continue to change. It is not easy, and many have left the profession as a whole because of the additional stress that has been put upon educators throughout this pandemic. So for those of you that are still with us, we are eternally grateful for your support, and we are eternally grateful for your dedication to Southfield Public Schools and to our families and community. That being said, we wish everyone a great evening, and we will respond to your questions in a timely manner. And hopefully we will see you tomorrow at our back to school fair. Good night.
Thank you.